Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome back. Hope you're well. Hope you're having a good week so far. We're in Costa Rica, one of the world's happiest countries. I think the happiest country in the world. But we're in Microsoft Flight Simulator with the new VPilot design. San Jose, Costa Rica airport scenery. ICAO code Mike Romeo Oscar Charlie. And we're off to Mexico City with high altitude, technical approaches, and hopefully a lot of fun. We're in the Horizon simulations, Boeing 787-9 for today as well. It's got ACARS integration finally, so I'll show you just in the kind of introduction of this flight today how to connect your ACARS to the aircraft, and the rest is fairly self-explanatory, but of course dependent on ATC A being online and B having a Hoppies client connected. Here are our fellow pilots. We've got 4 flying along today, and myself makes 5. Hit like, hit subscribe if you're new to the channel, and don't forget this Friday, if you've missed it or you're not in our Discord server, be sure to tune in usual time. But on Friday, it's Fighter Friday for the very first time, flying in DCS with the FA-18C and my new Wing HOTAS Orion kit, which I've purchased as well to help me get into DCS. So very much looking forward to that and bringing you guys a new angle to the channel as well. Here we are, flying the Aeromexico Dreamliner 787-9. Of course, in real life they used Rolls-Royce engine options for their power plant of choice, but this only has the General Electric in the livery, unfortunately. So don't comment below telling me that I'm using the wrong engines if you're watching this post live stream. I know what some people are like in this community. Hello Badger, welcome. Zato, Carlito, Gav as well. Hello, welcome. Living on a player. Great to see all of you guys. Hope you're looking forward to this. And Justin, welcome. Got to sort out my drone things. The one thing I've had to do with my, because now I'm trying to get into DCS, I've attached my HOTAS pole to my Next Level Racing Boeing seat, and that's fine. But what I've then also had to do is change the plate, my mouse plate, across to the keyboard side to make it a much bigger kind of square for me to position my Orion HOTAS throttle kit onto it. The scenery, some low-res textures, pretty poor to be honest in some areas. It's only available on the marketplace, but the kind of textures from afar, if you like, as we can see it here just brushing around, make it look quite nice. It's when you get up close it's all a little bit weird and slightly frustrating for payware. I've noticed it in their other scenery as well. If I show you guys this, there's an Alamy logo inside the map there. Just pay for it if you're going to use it, and then you could do what you want with it rather than just take it off Google. But hey ho. Commentator, good afternoon. Now, yeah, it's meant that my keyboard now is actually quite a stretch away from me because of the positioning of this setup, so I've got to really lean forwards and kind of stretch across to the left to stretch it all out a little bit. Justin's asking, saw your DCS preview from the aircraft carrier, Luke. Would you rate the graphics above that of Microsoft Flight Simulator? Oh, nowhere near, mate. Microsoft Flight Simulator blows anything well out of the water in terms of graphical kind of quality and everything else. I've got to tweak a couple of my DCS settings, of course, but in the main, it's, I think, better than X-Plane, but looks a little bit X-Plane-y, if that makes sense. But yeah, what you will see on Friday and what you saw in that preview video is as good as the graphics get. So I've noticed it depends on the maps and things as well. But either way, it still looks fantastic for what it is. Right, ACARS. So you'll be looking around thinking, how the chuffing heck do I get my ACARS integration in this new Horizon Simulation 789? Well, all you do here, below the 2 MFD buttons, hit COM, and now we have a new menu selected. ATC menus, altitude requests and all that jazz, although we're on Unicom. But you want to go to manager first, press ACARS. I'll just snap out of that a little bit. You press ACARS, And then what you do is you copy and paste your Hoppy's code into the next page, and then at the bottom press return, and it will head back. And then you can see things like flight information, departure clearance request. You type in the 4 letters for the ATC facility, for example. If it was London, it'd be GLL, whatever it says on VPilot at the time. And you can type in your gate, ATIS number, pop in a little bit of free text if you want as well, and then you can send it off. Altitude requests, so you could say I want to altitude 360, but I want to step at a certain waypoint, and all that kind of stuff. Again, more free text there as well. So there's a lot of options here for you to dig into with this ACARS, which is really quite cool. Flying Panda, welcome. Hello to everybody else around the Gregs that Flying Panda is at. And you can do reasons as well. So you can ask for a heading of off track or whatever, just because of weather, for example, and you can tick that, or aircraft performance issues. So if you've planned for a cruise that's a bit too high based on your weight at that point, and the aeroplane's in Coffin Corner struggling to climb that extra final 2,000 feet to get to your cruise altitude, you could send a little ping off here to say, can I have a different altitude or whatever else. But the easiest thing to do with things like this is to kind of flick through and actually experiment with it. But I've been asked to do a tutorial from Horizon Simulations, and I'd love to do that. The problem is finding air traffic controllers that are online at the time that you try and record these things. It just hasn't worked out so far. So log on and status. So this one here is when you are flying through airspace, London control for example, or Copenhagen control, and you notice on VPilot it says ACARS or Hoppy log on code, whatever it might be, 4 letters. You'll type that in there, and then you pop your flight number in, and you can establish communication connections with the air traffic controller. Basically, it's pretty cool. And then yeah, flicker through and have a little look. Weather requests. Some of it's a work in progress, and it's as close as they can get to the real life thing, which is quite neat. Anyway, back to the flight. So we've got Valanta fired up for today's route as well. Ashton, welcome mate, and Mike LJC, good afternoon. Canadian Flight Simmer, good morning. Phantom, welcome. There's the charts. So here in San Jose, we're on one of the only 2 heavy stands. We're going to push start, facing west, and then we're going to taxi down Alpha all the way down to the big hold point there, which is a massive hold point. You'll see it in a little while. It's a mammoth hold point. I don't understand why it's so big, to be honest. And there's just one little yellow line. But taking off runway 07, we're going to depart on the Nanu 3 uniform departure with the uniform transition, the letter U. So initially 071 degrees for takeoff, and at or above 3,460 feet, so only 400 foot above ground level, we're going to be maintaining a maximum speed of 190 knots with a really sharp left turn to head outbound 294 degrees to waypoint Nanjo, climbing up to 9,000 and accelerating at the end of that first turn there to 220 knots. And then turning 324 degree track to OC 150, climbing up away over the edge of the mountains there, OC 150, and then up to Nicaragua's border with Costa Rica, waypoint Ulepo, for our kind of transition en route. Flight time 2 and a bit hours, routing all the way up Central America into the mountainous vicinity of Mexico City airport, which is going to be quite cool. When we arrive, Lala 3 Alpha is what we're going to be expecting, which is quite a tricky arrival routing. So Lala at 260, and we'll talk about this more in the arrival, but we could go 773 straight to Ernock with that dash line, or out to Mexico 777 to 17,000 through the gap in the mountains into the valley, and then from there we'll go into it. Tab. Prepare for pushback and departure. Should probably get the APU one as well. 1, 2. Center tanks are empty. So we're 3,000 feet MSL in Costa Rica, in San Jose. We're going to be landing in Mexico City, which has got an airport elevation of 7,297 feet. Departure from here, winds are 110 at 14, gusting 24. QNH with the altimeter is now 3005, so I'm just going to change that. So yeah, we've got a 9 knot crosswind and a 10 knot headwind on runway 07. There's the tug. God, keyboard's a right stretch. Quick check of the overhead panel. That's looking good. Just a quick change of pause the music. And I've got the Luke Air tool as well for some freeware cabin announcements. Just get them on automatic. Vents on norm, packs auto. That's all good. Beacon lights on. Seatbelt signs. And how are we doing? Left and rights. Awesome. San Jose traffic, Aeromexico 657 heavy stand Alpha 13, push start facing west. Oh, which one? Nose right, tail left. Nose left, tail right. I think it's from the pilot's view, isn't it? This might go really wrong. Anyway.
Left.
Is that what I clicked? I can't remember now. I don't have a custom profile for this yet, so yeah. Rightio. So, I'll start one engine at a time. Just because you can start both doesn't mean you should. What the heck? I hope this is the right way. Okay, looks alright. And we'll start the safety demo.
Bienvenido a bordo de Aeroméxico.
Welcome aboard Aeromexico. Now let's review our in-flight safety procedures.
La línea que nos une a todos los mexicanos también lo une con su seguridad. Por eso le presentamos las líneas que harán su vuelo más seguro. Como el cinturón, una línea que le da tranquilidad a usted y a los suyos.
Darren, welcome, mate.
Para abrocharlo,
Andy, good to see you.
la punta metálica dentro de la hebilla y ajústelo hasta que esté seguro.
To fasten your seatbelt, insert the metal fitting into the buckle and tighten the strap.
Para desabrocharlo, levante la parte superior.
Doc says he's been flying on a 787 a few times in real life recently. It's becoming his favourite aeroplane now. Size matters, mate, he says. I'm not a fan of the 787, it's just like a modern 777. Still just as noisy. Mad Rabbit's asking if GSX is still worth it. I love it. Now I've got used to it and got loads of profiles for things, it's really quite nice. It adds massive amounts of immersion to the sim experience.
Make sure rows and exits remain clear and free of any objects.
Part brakes set.
Una línea con la mascarilla de oxígeno caerá frente a usted. Para accionar el flujo de oxígeno, jale la mascarilla más cercana. Colóquela sobre nariz y boca, estire las bandas hasta ajustarla y
that looks good.
In the event of a loss in cabin
Flap
pressure,
10.
oxygen masks will drop from the overhead panel. To activate
Auto brake
the flow of
RTO.
oxygen, pull the masks towards you.
Rudders
If it's
on
not,
0.
use your mouth. Pull on the
We
straps to
want
adjust and breathe normally.
Antes de ayudar a otros, coloque su
LNAV,
mascarilla.
VNAV, auto throttle.
En caso de emergencia, los sobrecargos le pediremos tomar una posición de seguridad. Exacto.
Get the old tablet thingy off.
Hay líneas para su comodidad. Por eso todos los vuelos de Aeroméxico son espacios libres.
What have we got on the memos there? AP cool down, park brake set, doors auto, seatbelts on, auto brake RTO. Musty welcome.
En caso de evacuación de emergencia, debe dejar sus pertenencias y seguir la línea de luces en los asientos hasta llegar a las salidas de emergencia.
A recall of any warnings.
Este avión cuenta
And
con 8
we wanted,
salidas de
where was it,
emergencia,
takeoff,
2 en la parte
trim
posterior,
525.
2 detrás del ala, 2 en la sección media y 2 al frente. Localice la más cercana a su
Jolly
asiento.
good. So, V1 134, rotate 140, V2 148, D-rate, and with a cell temper 56, and flat 10.
Traffic Osprey 27 Alpha, stand 23 pushing back to face west.
Have they got out of the way yet?
Las
They say have a good flight.
están equipadas con un tobogán para evacuar
Where'd she
en
go?
tierra o en agua. Antes de usarlo, es
Oh, there she is.
importante quitarse los zapatos.
Remove your shoes before using it.
En caso de acuatizaje, lleve su chaleco.
Anyway, taxi lights
El
on.
chaleco salvavidas.
Let's
Se
go
encuentra
to
debajo de su
Mexico.
asiento o bajo el descansabrazos central.
Brakes off. And starting to creep on idle. San Jose traffic, Aeromexico 657 heavies, taxi to hold point Alpha, runway 07 bar Alpha, San Jose.
Y jale las cintas para ajustarlo.
Place it over your head. Insert the tips into the buckles and adjust.
So if we did get ACARS en route, what we'd get is this black screen here on the left hand side of the primary flight display. This would kind of populate with messages and things, which is really quite neat. And you can also press accept, cancel, reject.
Blow into the tubes on the sides.
El dispositivo de iluminación se activará automáticamente
Not been
en el agua.
announced yet, that secret project, no.
Sabemos que hay líneas que le encanta usar. Por eso ya puede utilizar sus aparatos electrónicos en todo momento en modo avión.
Oh, there's Zato in the BA 747-400, beautiful.
En preparación para el despegue y aterrizaje, enderece su asiento. Asegúrese
So again,
de
like the
girar
other
la parte
VPilot sceneries, you can only buy this on the MSFS marketplace. Really nice option for Costa Rica.
Be sure your seat back is in the upright position. Your footrest, tray, and screen are safely stowed, and your seat
Slightly uphill, and contrast is
Debemos leer el instructivo
crazy
que
this
está en la
morning.
bolsa del asiento
Live time and
preferido.
live weather, so it's early morning.
Consulte a su
Um,
and a final note.
Costa Rica times, about was 6:30 AM or something crazy.
If you have any questions, don't hesitate to ask a flight attendant.
Todo el equipo de Aeroméxico desea que su viaje esté en línea con lo más importante, su seguridad y una gran experiencia de viaje.
The entire Aeromexico team wishes you a pleasant flight.
Switch that across so I can get nav 1.
San Jose traffic Osprey 2 Alpha, taxiing in sequence on Alpha to hold.
What's nice about these sceneries is the landscape around them as well. It's usually pretty spectacular. As you can see, here in San Jose, we're kind of surrounded by lush valleys and mountains and all that kind of thing on both sides. And same with Mexico City as well. Slightly downhill. Captain Loki says, greetings, screens mark.
Santa Maria traffic Osprey 458 Pushback from stand 24 basic with Santa Maria traffic.
So who in the chat has got DCS? Or, as a side question, who has thought about getting DCS but has decided not to because of the learning curve required being so steep? Curious to hear what you all think. And with that, as a precursor question, depending on what your answer is, who's excited for Fighter Friday, my new DCS content? I'll be learning it from basically a complete noob, a complete rookie, hopefully to semi-competent, okay-ish pilot in the F-18. Cat 1, hold .07.
Osprey 3-2, what are your intentions?
It is Mad Rabbit 9-2, yes.
Sun 1 traffic, Speedbird, 55 Golf, pushing back from the cargo ramp facing west.
So, look at that, you don't want to go overshoot that, right off the edge of the old cliff there. What's my thoughts about active sky? Unnecessary, probably. To sum up in one word. It's a little bit like Rex weather. I only have that as a complete backup just in case MSFS live weather goes completely balked for whatever reason it might be. Now, I don't fly with anything other than default MSFS weather because actually I think it's ruddy good. Really, really good. So why then pay for some payware to do the job of something that already works quite nicely? That's my argument. Get rid of that just to kind of give us a bit better contrast. Oh, that's good. Overheads, lights and signs, rock and roll. Get traffic mode selected. San Jose traffic, Aeromexico 657 heavy, that was close. Via Alpha, lining up runway 07 and taking off Nanji 3 uniform, departure Ulepo transition. Yeah, the 787 is obviously an ETOPS aircraft. It was designed for long haul. Look at that for a view. You are welcome. There's the windsock, centre of the screen. You can just about see it in the old trees, but it's giving us an indication of the wind coming across like that, so we'll get a bit of counter stick in. Disregard that, it's the old checklists. I wish I could just set something to completely ignore them. 40%, engine's good. Toga. Smooth flying, welcome. Well, far away. We get airborne, I'll have a little look. There's the windsock on the right. You can see that crosswind there. Look at the mighty 747 over there as well, lovely. Speed's alive and a power set, so we're coming up to 80 knots. Nose wheel pressure's been released. Engines are good. Meow. Past the Osprey. 3,000 meters of runway. V1. Rotate. Little kink into wind. Positive rate. Gear up. Yeehaw. And into the left turn.
San Jose traffic, Osprey 722, pushing back stand, Alpha 11, facing
It's Gav.
San Jose.
Clear the master caution in case we get anything else present, and hand fly in this first little section of the flights until we can get it on the crosshairs nicely and get the autopilot engaged in the turn. Round we go. So that's all good. Just get the runway turn off lights off. Auto brakes off, and we're holding a flap 10 speed currently. Cancel that warning. So 1,500 and 3,000 feet above ground level, which is now aircraft pitches forward, and we begin to accelerate. So there's the folks below. And we're going to work through a flap retraction schedule now. Through flap 5, so that's flap 5 set. And then we've got Nanjo coming up in just less than 10 miles. Flaps 1. And clean her up.
San Jose traffic Osprey 27 Alpha lining up 07 after departing aircraft down.
So flaps are up, but all that's good. Little freeze of the sim there. 13,000 is the initial altitude. Let's keep it going to 360. So, what have we got for those questions then? Mad Rabbit's got a couple of modules in DCS and a verbal HOTAS setup, but learning DCS requires a fair bit of discipline, which I'm lacking at the moment. Dwal says his question was about Microsoft Flight Simulator's installation. So he's got 2 SSDs. Do most of you install MSFS and add-ons to the second SSD or to the C drive on the first SSD? So I've got 2 terabyte NVMe SSDs, and what I've actually personally done is load the sim onto the D drive instead of the C drive. So my sim and all my kind of add-ons and things go onto the D drive instead. But they're both NVMe PCIe SSDs, so really quite rapid systems. $300. We're through 10,000 feet, but we're not at 10,000 feet above ground level, if you notice. So I'm still turning the landing lights and stuff on anyway. Off, rather. Keeping that heading bug in line. Auto mode's the active for heading at the minute. It's been ages since I've flown on this. But I do love what Horizon Simulations have done with this. Absolute cracker of a freeware project, this. Smooth flying, good to hear, mate. I'm hoping I can find somebody who knows how to install DCS paint schemes. Got to sort out my drone camera as well, because I want to create like a an Osprey Defence Force kind of livery set for the FA-18.
Sorry, National Fleet uniform and local transition.
You can hear the wind. Was that the engines? No, it is the wind. That's a constant output, wow. Let's get them off. Yeah, true, Working Title have made leaps and bounds in the sim, haven't they, really, with everything that they've done. Let's keep her climbing. 360, push the button. OC 150 just there was a waypoint that you had to be at or below 13,000 by, so which is why it was leveling off and holding that. But by pushing in the altitude select button there, what I've asked it to do is disregard that constraint.
Damas y caballeros, tenemos el placer de ofrecerles un servicio de comida caliente. Les solicitamos que armen sus mesillas y que coloquen.
I think this is the first time ever flying out of Costa Rica in the sim. But it is supposedly the happiest place on Earth. And I think the most eco-diverse country in the world as well, I think. Oh, snazzy. So I've just installed for DCS. One of the hardest things I get my head around is kind of like inserting waypoints and all that kind of jazz, especially for flying like missions and campaigns. I'm getting my head around carrier takeoffs. I'm pretty comfortable with those. Carrier landings I'm not great at, because it's the sequence for the entry into the carrier pattern that I struggle with. I feel like you'd have to do like 100 times to get good at it. And maintaining the angle of attack and having the urge to touch the stick to pull back or forwards to change pitch, which you don't want to do. You want to set your angle of attack, set the trim nicely, and then you descend with power. You only touch the stick for roll apparently. You use power to control your rate of descent, which I never appreciated. Actually really tough. Oh, Zato, brilliant. Yeah, Jayfoot, so I've gone ahead and I've bought, I haven't had it sent to me, but generally because I was so impressed with the WingWing FCU in comparison to the mini cockpit mini FCU, not least because it was £100 less, but because the actual build quality and the feel and the size of it is really good. I've gone ahead and purchased the WingWing HOTAS Orion 2 throttle, the F-16 throttle with the EX2 throttles with finger lifts, and I've gone and purchased the Orion F-15 EX2 HOTAS, which has got a whole load of buttons and switches and all that kind of stuff on it. And I've tried in the past to get into DCS, and I've really struggled because I've never had the correct hardware for it. But now, because I've got keybinds galore on this big throttle unit and the HOTAS stick as well, my goodness, I think it takes about 50% of the learning away. Now instead it's kind of trying to work out with muscle memory where each switch is and what it relates to in the aeroplane that you're flying. And I'm getting my head around a lot of it. I spent 3 hours yesterday setting keybinds up. What I've also been really impressed with is the community managers in DCS, because they haven't had to, but they've actually reached out to me, having seen the video that I put up the other day saying that I'm going to look at getting into DCS to offer you guys all something a bit different and a bit snazzy and exciting and fast paced, get the old heartbeat going. And they've reached out to me and said that if there's anything that they need, that I need help with, they're happy to help. And they're very keen to see the content that I deliver, and they're very keen to see my journey on DCS progress as well. So I'm already feeling really welcomed by them, which is super nice. Yeah, I was actually before today's live stream, I did an hour's gap between the stream and mucking around on DCS because I had all my other kit wired up instead, and I was doing some gun practice, some AMRAMs, some sidewinders. So I'm trying to learn all the little sort of weapon systems. On Friday, what I'm hoping to do is go into some sort of campaign mission and learn some air-to-air refueling live, which I've been told is one of the most difficult things ever in DCS. But I'm going to throw myself into it without any practice in Fighter Friday's stream this Friday. We'll have a little look at how all of that works. I feel like once I can get some of the fundamentals under my belt and I can understand things a little bit better, like the carrier landings, all that kind of jazz, then I'll be quite happy. I think at that point I'd be quite comfortable just diving into DCS, but I still don't understand how the multiplayer stuff works. I don't know if you just dive into a server and with a whole load of other people and you fly as... I don't know if the mission is already kind of scripted, or if there's just loads of stuff around on the map and you have to find it and engage with it. I mean, some of you guys in the chat might be able to help me understand that a little bit more. I've also downloaded The Way. That might mean something to some of you, like Mad Rabbit. So effectively, it's DCS's version as a third-party add-on of SimBrief integration, basically, but for your F-18. So instead of having to manually plug in all of your coordinates and your waypoints and all the rest of it, then what you can actually do is go onto the F-10 map in DCS, which is like the battlefield management map, if you like, showing everything. And you can set and designate waypoints using this The Way program. And what that then does is it allows you to click a button and send it straight into your aircraft. So it will then load all of your route, all of your waypoints, all of your target coordinates, everything, by just pressing send to aeroplane, send to jet, or whatever it's called. So I'm going to try that out on Friday as well, see how that works. Yeah, what do you guys want to see on Friday for the first ever DCS stream? Do you want to see me do a campaign and just kind of work through some of the little campaigns that are pre-installed with the FA-18? Or do you want to see me jump into a multiplayer server and kind of give all of that a go? I might need some assistance though, so if some of you with DCS can connect, try and coordinate with me what we're going to connect to in our Discord server, and hopefully you can help me through my first ever mission. JFit, yes, the Win-Win kit that I've got in the SimApp Pro, there's profiles. You can just click a profile, and then when you run it from SimApp Pro, then you open DCS. The SimApp Pro software sends it into DCS, so all of your keybinds are pre-installed, which is neat. Rosato, join me in the F-14 then, mate. Oh wow. Is that like a little oceanic? It is. Santa Cruz, Lake Nicaragua. Amazing. So now we're in Nicaraguan airspace. Nicaragua! Definitely a volcano, yeah. And it's only because I was looking at Volanta that I could tell that this whole thing here is a lake. But you can see the other coast there actually. That's a huge lake. Lovely. Here's the overlay of Volanta, which by the way has a DCS plugin I found out the other day. Badger's airborne. Avianca 919. He's away. We've got Paul, Osprey 27 Alpha. He's airborne, followed by Zato in the British Airways 747. Oh, my beautiful BOAC livery. Lovely. I remember that when it got painted, and then COVID hit and they all got retired. So sad. Such a beautiful livery on that thing. Osprey 458, airborne, followed by Gav, Osprey 722. Nice. Steep bank left out of Costa Rica. Taft plays. No, we've got Osprey 32. That's everybody. Sweet. So routing through Nicaragua, and then we're off through El Salvador, pretty much following the coast. If I just show you Volanta again here, our route's going to take us over Lake Nicaragua, from Managua, and then we're going to route out over the coast, zipping into El Salvador airspace, following the coastline all the way across to the border with Guatemala, and still kind of following that coastline, entering Mexican airspace over the coast at Salina Cruz into Mexico City. So what server do you reckon we should join in DCS on Friday? We've got to find a server really that we can kind of all take part in, but I don't know how they work that well, that much. There's a question for you actually. So, say for example Zato, I don't have the F-14. But if you had the F-14 and you spawned in next to me, would you show up in an F-14 on DCS? Or is it a bit like Microsoft Flight Simulator where you have to own the product before you can see it as an AI? I'd like to think they've got all of the kind of aircraft in as AI anyway. But again, I've only downloaded it like a week ago. 2 weeks ago, purchased all this WinWing scenery as hardware and only just kind of starting to get into it. One to go. And then we're in cruise. Cost index have changed by the way to 80, so we're going to be blasting along with Mach 2 throughout the duration of today's flight. Tomorrow we're heading into the new MK Studios LaGuardia for MSFS as well, which got released last week. We're going to be heading out of Tampa and then heading up the east coast of the US. And we're flying the Boeing 737-900ER with Delta for, I think, the first time in the sim as well. Oh, that's epic, Zato. That's really neat. In fact, what one of the community managers said to me the other day, for those of you who are looking to get into DCS, I'll read it out just so I get it right. Where's it gone? They said that you'll find some profiles for various aeroplanes like the F/A-18C already built into the program files. Eagle Dynamics, DCS World, mods folders. Then there's an aircraft folder, and then it says F/A-18C. Go into that, input F/A-18C, and within that you'll see loads of profiles, various bits of hardware, which is very snazzy indeed. That sounds like a challenge. I mean, I don't even know how dogfighting works. Oh, yeah. So it says it's more of a, can I avoid flat spinning the F-14 and then survive a barrage of newer gen fighter jets in a dogfight or die trying? I reckon you could fly alongside me and we can both try, and you can try and not flat spin, and we can both try and execute a mission together. Along with anyone else that wants to join us, but we'd have to find a server that we can all connect onto for it. I haven't quite figured that out yet. There are loads of servers. I think Centurio said earlier that I want to go onto a 4YA server, something like that. But I'm genuinely quite excited to bring you guys something a bit fresh and a bit new. We've done now for 3 years, or around about 3 years, we've done civilian airliner flying, which I love. That's my niche, and that's what I really enjoy. But like I said in the teaser video the other day for DCS, there's this little itch that I've got to scratch. And you know what the trigger was for me? The trigger was the Miltech Simulations Chinook for MSFS. I've enjoyed that so much since its release that it's made that kind of spark for DCS turn into a big old burning flame, which I'm super excited. I've already pre-ordered the Chinook in DCS. I've already pre-ordered the Afghanistan map. I've already purchased the Syria map. I've got the Caucasus, I can't say it. You know the one I'm on about. And I've got the F-18 as well. And I've got the Apache, which is an absolute beast in itself. Caucasus. But I've already started to, so the elements of flying the F-18 I've started to kind of learn quite nicely. But it's all of the deep systems and everything else that I struggle with. That's what I'm still having to really kind of focus and learn. Is that all, Zato? That's one thing I learned yesterday with the F-16. It was developed to be a cheap fighter. Look at that. That's absolutely spectacular. And actually, from altitude, DCS looks this wonderful as well, with all the settings that I've got with the RTX 4090. But is there a way, so this is what I kind of wanted to do on Friday, and I don't know, so those of you who are good at DCS or know it very well, look at that, it's beautiful, you might be able to help with this. Is there a way that I can launch into a server where there is lots of scope for multiplayer, so loads of you can join me and be on the same team together, we can all load in on a carrier, we can all do carrier takeoffs, and then from there we fly to a mission, execute the mission, and then fly back. Is that something that's already in a server for us to be able to kind of deal with, or is it not a thing? Because in an ideal world, we take off from a carrier as a little group, and we fly to a tanker, and we refuel on the tanker. From there, we break off and execute the mission, and then go from there. And yeah, if lots of people start to really enjoy it, then yeah, you know what? I'd be looking at getting a little Osprey server for us all to kind of enjoy. So I'm very much happy to be led by all of you watching. Whatever you want to see, I'm happy to try. Hoggit Discord. Never heard of it. So this is all totally new to me. Even the kind of radio speak, I wouldn't even know where to begin with it. And from what I understand, I'm led to believe that the radio stuff isn't that good on DCS. So a lot of people, they would try and use the comms in the aeroplane, but it's not that. It doesn't work that well from what I've kind of had explained to me. But again, it's something I've not tried, so I don't really understand how any of that works. I'm in the DCS official server, if that's what you mean. Chris has got the F5 in DCS, not the most potent aircraft in the game, but looks so mean. I found myself kind of tempted to splurge on various aeroplanes when I was looking at DCS a little while back. So like F-18, I was going to get the Harrier as well because the Harrier is on there, all that kind of stuff. And I realised it was going to get very expensive very quickly. But they've even got Spitfires, and from what I've learned so far in this short space of time is there are servers just for like World War II style flying. There are servers just for Cold War era kind of flying as well. So you can have your Cold War aircraft load into a Cold War based server and then do Cold War-esque missions as well. Same with the World War II type stuff like the Spitfires. You can all load into World War II based servers with missions based on things in World War II and go and zap around and spray some rounds out the front of the Spit and all that kind of thing. It's really quite cool. It's so much diversity that I'd never really appreciated before in any of that. So, Flying Sausage, does messages appear on the left side of the PFD in the 787? Yes. So now with ACARS, if we go to comms, we don't have any ATC online, which is the problem really, and this is why we're not really using the ACARS today, sadly. But if we did, we'd be able to use all of this stuff and speak to the controller, and then any messages that we get would appear in this black box to the left of the PFD below the time and date and our flight details there. James, welcome. Yeah, I figured for DCS at the minute, I would just purchase the FA-18 and the Apache, and then try and learn both really well. And I'd love something like a C-17. I think somebody said a little while ago there was a Hercules, a C-130 in there as well, I think. But I'm yet to find. I'm going to go onto the DCS website, because that would be great fun. We have pre-purchased the Chinook. That's $48.99 for the Chinook, and the trailer for it looked insane. Like actually able to kind of drop troops off and load troops on and all that sort of thing. The F-14 looks spectacular as well. Very tempted for that. I've got DCS Super Carrier as well. That's $30. But what I did is I purchased a load of stuff all at the same time the very first time I installed DCS, and I don't know if they still do it. I think they do, but I haven't got a way to find out. But for what I understand, they have got the ability, they basically give you 50% off your first order with DCS. So I made use of that and bought a whole load of stuff. MiG-29's on there, which to be fair is a spectacular looking jet. The good old Harrier as well, the AV-8B. World War II assets pack. They've got the Swedish AJS 37 Vision as well, for those of you who like that. The Spitfire's $50. They've got Gazelle for a little bit of flying and a helicopter. And they've actually got tons of aeroplanes. Just going through the list now, my goodness. They've got the Mi-8 MTV-2 helicopter. Big, dirty, ugly Russian-built attack helicopter thing. A10, which I know some of you have got. Oh, and I'm out of DCS World user files. There's a lot of liveries as well, and what I want to do is find someone who can paint a livery for me for Osprey. There is a summer sale for DCS coming up soon, from what I understand. As you guys are saying in the live chat. I'm going to have to Google DCS C130. Yeah, there is. There's actually, it's a mod. It's the Anubis mod, it's called. DCS C130J 30 Hercules mod from 2020. Oh yeah, it's actually a thing. Just one person developing the whole thing. It looks pretty basic though. Seems pretty overwhelmingly pretty impressive from a lot of the things on the forum for it. Neil says I've started my itch again. I've started his itch again for DCS. You know what? All of you, if you wanted to get into it, you can learn with me while we fly and try and give it all a go in the in DCS during live streams and things. Yeah, I've just seen the Christian Eagle quiz on their website, and I just had to double check, thinking, really? Mad Rabbit says I've got a couple of modules: the F-18, the F-16, the A-10 Huey, and the Gazelle. Because he didn't know what he'd want to get. Result is that he stuck at every aircraft in the helicopter. Pick just one or two and get good at them. Is his bit of advice there. Anthony, welcome. Yeah, DCS have got quite a few regular sales on, to be fair. And at the moment, if you wanted the Chinook, then it's on a pre-order discount, down from $70. Which is why I pre-ordered it the other day. How much is it? Let's have a little check here. Yeah, $70, full price when it releases. But currently on pre-order, it's $48.99, which is about £35 UK money. Which actually is an amazing price. From how it looks on the trailer. And I was looking at the F-15 by Razbam, but the F-18s, I think. The F-18 is a newer jet, isn't it, compared to the F-15? Is that right? I'm trying to get my head around all of the different codes and all the rest of it. But interestingly, the DCS Super Carrier Pack is still technically early access, as is the Apache AH-64D. And I think they've been out for about 2 years, which is interesting. Oh, no idea about Top of Descent. I've been too busy looking at DCS stuff. There's a step climb recommended in 320 nautical miles, so we've still got a long old way to go. But we can, let's just grab the METAR command for, not GMMX, that's Marrakesh, MMMX. There we go. Keep smashing the like button if you're enjoying today, folks. Keep the old thumbs up, creeping up higher and higher. There's Mexico City's METAR, 070 at 6 knots, 8 statute miles visibility, hazy, isolated altocumulus, altimeter's 3036, that's fairly high, not mega high, but 29902 is the standard. And don't forget we're high up as well. So, what are we planning for? Let's have a wee look at the old charts. We're planning for ILS 05 right, Zulu via Volen, which is that. So, Lalo 3 Alpha for the arrival through 260. We'll put all of this in a moment through that gap in the mountains, but we could go direct from Mexico 773 at 17,000 to Ernok 14,000 feet. That's a possible path. We can actually do that. We probably will actually, to be fair. And then from there routing to Volen, which is the initial approach fix at 11,000 feet, which sounds high, but remember the airfield elevation 7297 feet. And then from there, there's Volen, 331 degrees to Mexico 901, mandatory altitude of 9,700 feet, and then turning inbound 055 to 05 right. Mexico. No, you can do a direct. This bit here, Doc, shows in the charts zone of possible paths towards Ernok. So we've got a dash line here, and then the dash line going around there. So this cone that I'm just drawing very badly, we can do a direct to Ernok at any point inside that sort of cone, demarked down by this grey dashed line on the charts. So we can, inside this zone, route towards Ernok at 14,000 feet. The only thing we've got to bear in mind is this bit of pink is about 13,000. So that's going to give us 1,000 feet above the kind of peaks there in that area of terrain. So the question is how we execute it and whether we do it safely. That's just something to bear in mind. And then, yeah, we've got to make sure we've got Mexico's VOR tuned 15.9 and the ILS 1091. I didn't do cross the pond, James. No, I was working, mate. AFN 40 says, highly recommend Echo 19 sound mods for DCS. They're on par with Boris AudioWorks for MSFS. Ooh. So, arrivals. ILS Zulu 05 right. Transition Volen. And then we want the Lala 3 Alpha. Execute. Check the old legs. There's Lalo, flight level 260. And the RadNav page 91, inbound 055. And then the VORs there will be auto-tuning throughout anyway. On the VNav page, we can click across to descent. I've already done this prior to departure today, but on the forecast tab, I've imported the descent winds and the correct transition level for Mexico City, which is flight level 195. And there's that coastline. See if we can spot that nicely from above. Look at that. I mean, the visuals in MSFS are just unlike anything else. Looking forward to seeing what they do in MSFS 2024, which will be quite cool. So, the AFM40, the Echo 19 sound mods, are they freeware or are they payware? Because I've been generally quite impressed with the FA18 sounds anyway, and I've clicked the you know, the switch in the settings for audio from as if you're wearing a headset or the helmet. And what it does is it kind of muffles, for those that don't know, it muffles the sound output quite significantly, so that it's as you would hear it if you had a helmet on. I think that's now El Salvadorian airspace. Yes, yeah, it is. So that's the coastline for El Salvador now. We're basically zipping around the edge of the coast all the way up to Tapachula, Mexico. Pay what you want where? Wow, okay. Echo 19 audio production. Just having a little look here. There's not a massive amount of updates. The release for the F-18 was on the 14th of January 2023, it says here. The F-18 Super Hornet audio enhancement in collaboration with Chiller Juice Studios. Go check out the CJS Super Hornet mod. What's the difference between that and the normal one then? Oh, CJS is the Community Juice. Chiller Juice Studios. I don't understand what the difference of that is. See, some of the stuff with DCS is very confusing. They're all sleeping, James. It doesn't say how I can download this Echo 9 thingy. Oh, there we go, sound packs. It says free quote. Hornet. There we go. Oh yeah, pay what you want. Name a fair price. Anything over $0. But free is also... So it's free if you want as well. So what's the difference between the Super Hornet and the Hornet then, AFN40? You can tell I've got this itch that I need to scratch, which I don't really know enough about any of this. Replaces a few of the Hornet's files, but as a separate aeroplane. Buddy tanker works on it apparently. Oh, okay. So it takes the F-18C and turns it into an F-18E, which is the newer block. Third party Super Hornet is newer. Ah. God, there's so much to learn, isn't there? Pay what you want, where is pretty cool. It's basically freeware, but if you want to donate, you can. In effect, which is quite cool. What do we have here? So it was 3036. And then the ILS minimums. Oh goodness me! I'm not doing rad out. I'm sorry, I'm not doing Barrow because that's that's 7,566 feet. I'm going to do rad out instead. I'm just going to select 274. Which is easier for me to get to. Bingo. We've still got a long way to go yet. Top of descent is in 600 or so miles. About 600 miles. Yeah, I've got a Stream Deck AFN40, but I've got all the profiles set up for streaming MSFS, so I don't really want to fiddle around with it too much because I'm not that techie. So once I end up kind of breaking my Stream Deck and turning it into something else, I'll end up losing the ability to probably get half of it back. I'm not that great with all that sort of stuff. But pretty cool. I was practicing dogfighting earlier in one of the tutorials, so I was doing a bit of guns with some kind of AI drones. And then I did some sidewinders. I'm hoping for tomorrow's live stream, albeit in the 737-900, I'm hoping we get that the Hudson River visual thing into LaGuardia. Is it? Or is it just the river visual? I can't remember. We have to open up the LaGuardia charts now. Approach. Oh, the park visual, that's the one. Park visual 3-1, that's what we're hoping for tomorrow. Oh, that's different. It's actually a bit wider. HD Sim, welcome. Yeah, that looks totally different. Over Prospect Park. Whereas before, the freeway was labelled on the charts last time we did LaGuardia, albeit a very long time ago. Wow. Yeah, River Visuals DCA. Well, there's a River Visual Runway 13 actually that I've just seen for LaGuardia there, which looks epic. Over the Narrows Bridge, Zatoni laid Liberty, and then up to 134 degrees, Columbia Uni turning inbound for final. Remain over the Hudson River until starting to turn final north of Central Park. Expect 4,000 until beam the Statue of Liberty. That could be quite cool. I'm not sure if we can pull that off in a 737-900ER. Jafer, good luck getting that approach on VATSIM, he says. Well, the park visual 3-1 into LaGuardia is what we're hoping for tomorrow. Whether they're using it in real life or not, if the weather conditions permit, I think we'll do it anyway. But that's tomorrow. So I might do my little weather dance to get winds favouring that. Do they ever use that Hudson River visual into LaGuardia? Simple World, welcome. Yeah, it was the expressway visual, but I noticed that doesn't really have the new charts, the park visual that we just mentioned, didn't have the expressway noted on it, whereas the old charts used to when we last flew in. But it looks like they've made it slightly wider for a visual approach compared to before, where it was like a really tight 270 or so degree left turn for final. Don't know, Neil, I haven't been into it yet. FF40 says should do a river visual day, river visual into LaGuardia, and then the river visual into DCA. That could be quite a cool stream for one point. We're doing Tampa to LaGuardia tomorrow though. I've already preset the thumbnails and things. I also need to find a box to put my HOTAS into. So when I've got my Boeing yoke plugged in, I've had to take the HOTAS and the HOTAS stick mount for the Boeing seat that I'm on off as a big thing. So it's just kind of sat on the printer at the moment. sideways. And I very much would like to see... I've got to get a box really for it, just to kind of make sure when I'm not using it I can put it in a box and protect it. Send me a message of thanks on Discord. HD Sim says Tampa's his home airport, hopefully using the vertical sim Tampa. I certainly am, yes. FN40 says he uses Monster Tech mounts for everything. HOTAS and MIP for WinWing, very pricey but the quality is top notch. Doc says the weather forecast for LaGuardia tomorrow predicted wind coming from the north to northeast. Oof. If it's coming from the northeast, we'll do that Hudson River visual just because we can. Provided we're on Unicom. No doubt after I'd end up with a load of comments going, you don't do that at 737-900, which seems to be a common theme developing with some of the quirkier things that I do on the channel post stream. And there's that coastline stretching off all the way up to the distance again, and the mountain ridge kind of chasing that all the way up to Mexico as well, which is really quite cool. I mean, look at that. Yeah, the river visual into DCA is quite tough, AFM40. We've done it a few times though. Touch wood, I've been alright each time, but depending on how hard it is, it's very dependent on the aeroplane that you're using as well, I think, a lot of the time. It can be quite tough. Let's wind her up, Mach 8.5. Zoom zoom. Let's fight that 20 knot headwind. What do we got here? Some views. To be fair, that's pretty nice. There's a view in itself. J-Foot, yeah, so I've got Giuseppe Designs Newark, plus I've got the New York City pack, plus Inibuild's JFK installed on the with the RTX 4090. One of the big problems is they don't have so since this sim, the last update came out for the sim, where you know it breaks every time and it loads itself in windowed mode, it doesn't allow you to go into DirectX 12. I've noticed now, so which means I don't have frame generation. So I'm just using my RTX 4090 in all its kind of raw form, without any frame gen. Which touchwood so far has been okay, but I think tomorrow's going to be one heck of a test for it because I'm leaving it all installed, and then we'll see how well it fares. Here's hoping they've kind of made it optimized enough. Pascu, in real life or in the sim? Luke, interesting. Don't you have to, when you go into settings, have you noticed that DirectX 11 keeps being toggled off? It keeps being selected instead of DirectX 12. or are you getting that and then changing it to DX12 and hitting apply and save? Because I thought you had to restart the sim for that to take effect. In the sim, Pascu, my favourite aeroplane still to this day, it's probably the 737-800 from PMDG. That's probably my current favourite. And to be fair, I think it's been a favourite since I've downloaded that, and since its release, because it's just been really quite nice. AJ Finani's getting the same thing, keeps getting DirectX 11 and windowed mode. Yeah, it's very, very frustrating. Bike's doing well, James, thanks, yeah. I had to go and have some ear impressions taken yesterday, so I had to drive to 30 minutes to an ear clinic, because Ultimate Ear Protection had booked me an appointment there to go and get ear impressions taken. So they had to they put this little foam stop deep into my ear, and then they squirted a thick silicone into my ear, completely filling it, both sides, let it dry, pull it out, and I've had to send them off to this Ultimate Ear Protection company to get some custom ear protectors made up. Because the ones I've got, albeit good, don't think they protect my hearing quite enough. And, you know, in 20-30 years, I don't want to have tinnitus and I don't want to be deaf, so thought it's worth paying £90 now to buy some good hearing protection for the bike. It's the wind noise on the motorway that's the worst. Even with my ear protectors in as they are at the moment, you get that frequency that's continuous, and if it's windy enough and the wind's coming from the wrong direction, I get home sometimes almost having a bit of a headache from it, which is not good. CPDLC updates, G650. We've explored it, but again, like I was saying at the start of the stream, I've been trying to do a tutorial because the folks at Horizon Simulation were asking me to see if I could do one. It's almost impossible, because wherever I look to do it, I'm struggling to get ATC that are using it or are online long enough for me to be able to kind of get ready to the point where I'm recording it and then I'm getting the clearance and things. So it just hasn't really happened. Wesley, g'day, welcome, and Rab, good to see you, no worries, mate. So out of curiosity, who's joining me for DCS on Friday, like actually in DCS, to do some kind of flying? Oh, Pascal, the Horizon 787 is this one, the 789. That's my favourite one. How you doing, Wesley? Plus, I mean, the other question to the DCS stuff is, do you want to see live streams with DCS, or do you want to see me work on pre-recorded videos? So I'll do a mission and then I'll kind of take clips from it and make it into like a little edited video. Would you want to see that instead, or do you want to see kind of raw and all live streams? Almost into Mexican airspace now as well. One waypoint would lead us to Tekken, and from there we'll be in Mexico. Oh, Neil, is that the VIP one? That's crazy, isn't it? Why did they scrap it and not just sell it? The Man ATC, welcome. I was reading the news for that 787 that got scrapped yesterday, but yeah, hadn't realised it's only got 20 hours flight time. What a waste of money. fair enough. Worthmore parted out. Interesting. Well, I suppose actually all of its parts are pretty much new, aren't they? So a lot of the internals will mean that it will be... yeah, it makes sense. They could sell it, especially with the shortage of some parts. Rugy says he's got tinnitus. Oof. Retrofly Diffie, welcome. Says, if you fancy a new Spitfire mission in DCS, let me know. I haven't got the Spitfire though. I haven't got any of those kind of older aeroplanes. The only kind of big jet that I've got proper is the F-18C, which I'm trying to learn before I think about learning anything else. But just trying to work out how it all works with missions and connecting with people on servers and all of that. It's not like with the sim I can just dive into VATSIM and go from there. Adrian's poo saying, I've got to go back to the airport because I forgot about 20 people. Oh well. They're late. Yeah, definitely would like to try the Spitfire at some point, Retrofly. G650 as well saying, looking forward to the DCS content now. He's picked up a new module last week. What did you get? Mike, very nice. Random one, he says, has anyone been on Virgin's upper class? He's booked Disney World for next year. Very exciting. I've been in the cabin. Not in flight, but I've been on board for various reasons, and the upper class looks like it depends on the aircraft and the layout, but again, it also, with a lot of airlines as well, it ultimately depends on the crew. I think Virgin being a smaller airline is probably pretty good, to be fair. I think you're going to have a really nice experience. But I've only ever flown on Virgin Atlantic once, and at the time I think I was about 13 or 14, so a long time ago, and the cleaners blew a slide at Gatwick, and then they basically, the airline mucked us around massively, lied to everybody, 4 hours later gave everybody a load of food and beverage card vouchers, and then said the cleaner had blew a slide and they were trying to get a new 747 bought in for the flights to St Lucia. So you can imagine people weren't particularly pleased. And that's the only time I've ever flown Virgin, and it wasn't a great experience, so that put me off. And it's silly because I'm 33 now. That was when I was 13. It's 20 years ago, and that one event has been enough for me to go, you know what? I don't think I'd fly Virgin again. Don't know. Maybe I should try it again though. Like, I speak to them quite regularly, a lot of the crew at work, and they're always quite nice. But then the BA crew are always really nice and chatty as well. So, ooh, nice 650. Picked up the A10 for DCS. It's going to give a bit of close air support a go. Oh yeah, if you can get the A350, that'd be sweet. David, welcome, says, when is Sim Update 15 releasing? I think from what I understand, at some point in the next 6 days it's meant to come out. Albeit very delayed now, isn't it? But it's supposed to be out soon. Pretty much, yeah, the only airline I fly with now, James, is BA. More location than anything else, though. They tend to have much better slot times, flying into and out of destinations. Getting back home at much more reasonable times as well, whether it be Gatwick or Heathrow. But yeah, my newest airport is tomorrow, so... not tomorrow. I was just reading George's... I was reading George's chat message. Yeah, my closest airport is Heathrow, and that's like an hour away, so... It is what it is. 650, thanks mate. Very kind of you. George says he's got a little bit of information for LaGuardia with the predicted wind tomorrow. The New York VATS folks suggest RNAV GPS X-ray 31, park if visual. Runway 13 I've observed only once, and it has to be really windy to land on runway 13. I think, yeah, if the conditions allow for it, because of the challenge of it in the sim, then that's probably what we'll angle towards tomorrow. But if not, we'll just, it depends on the weather. As you said there, we might have to flex it and pick a different approach, in which case so be it. I've actually never landed on into LaGuardia on anything other than runway 13 for the visual, so be interested to give another one a go potentially if the weather doesn't allow for the visual approach. Neil, nice. Are you going spotting into Geneva then, or? A good old Airbus A220 needs an engine change every 6 days. Those geared turbofans are shredding themselves quite rapidly, aren't they? They're twice as bad as the Dreamliner engines for the amount of wear. I always find Virgin, so we've looked at a few times booking, like last year. I thought, you know what, instead of booking with just BA, I will look at various other airlines like Virgin Atlantic, and I've actually found them quite often to be significantly more expensive on the trips that I want to fly, or they fly in and it's too late in the day, or it's really early in the morning, whatever it is. The flight times aren't quite as good as BA's, and the price just, they can't seem to compete on some of these routes on price, so it ends up being a no-brainer anyway. But I've come to the decision that at some point, I've got 500,000 Avios points, and at some point in the next 2 or 3 years I want to blow them all on a big trip, Tokyo, whatever it might be. I want to pretty much wipe out my Avios balance and then not care about who I fly with. So, you know, I can look at Virgin and fly Virgin, I can look at BA and fly BA, or 2E, whatever it might be. Although for 2E, my closest airport will probably be Birmingham. Yeah, when Sim Update 15 does come out, we will jump into the Unibuilds A320neo. We'll have a little look at that to see what it's like. It'll be quite interesting to see what they've been able to create with that. That's a bit better. Thailand, yeah, I've looked at Thailand a few times, Doc, but I keep getting sucked into places like Mauritius instead. I can't stand places that will be really busy and noisy. I quite like the idea of just getting away from all of the noise, all of the chaos of daily life, on a holiday, and just being able to kind of have a bit of peace and quiet, relaxation, all that sort of thing, like properly de-stress and unwind with I've got an incredibly stressful kind of job, and some of the stuff we deal with isn't particularly great, so it's quite nice to be able to just go lie on a beach, have peace and quiet. I don't want to hear mopeds going down the road. They're just rubbish, so that's what I said, Doc. I said Phuket then. Yeah. felt a bit differently. No, we looked at Mauritius. I looked at sort of Koh Samui. I looked at Phuket. I looked at some of the beach places around Thailand. Just it didn't really add up to similar destinations in more exotic luxury, much more luxury kind of destinations. Plus, it's always difficult to go and pick somewhere that you've never been before. So we went through a phase where I looked at, funnily enough, actually Costa Rica. I looked at different places around Costa Rica for holiday because it's meant to be the happiest place on earth, and it's one of the most beautiful locations as well. I wanted to go and experience that, but again I found it quite difficult to pick somewhere. And I've gone off the Caribbean, sadly, quite a bit. I find the service there, they're quite, it can be quite rude and quite abrasive sometimes, compared to Mauritius, where they're just nice and you can have a chat with the person at the bar. And having gone to Mauritius, I've then looked back at my holidays to Antigua and places like that in the Caribbean where I thought they were wonderful, but you then look at the two and you compare it and you think, my goodness, I might as well have gone to Spain. And yeah. Simbit World's asking there, I don't know if you've answered this already. Somebody asked at the start of the stream today, but yeah, he says Active Sky or Microsoft Flight Simulator default weather. For me, MSFS default weather wins. A, it's included in the sim. B, it's actually 99% of the time pretty good. So why pay for something you don't need? Spend the money on a different add-on instead. Save for the PMDG 777 or something. That's my bit of advice. My personal opinion. I shall dock. I think I'm used to kind of all-inclusive holidays as well, which obviously Thailand you don't really get many of. And then I get worried about the whole, well, how much money would I need to take with me, all that sort of stuff. So I would love to go to Thailand once or twice. But some of these resorts look so big, and that's instantly something that puts me off. I don't like a big resort. Or if it is a big resort, I like it to be like little bungalows, and it all spread out, so that you don't feel like you're on top of everybody else on holiday. I don't want to go on holiday and feel like I'm in a block of flats, if that makes sense. So that usually is part of the decision-making process, where I'll just say yes or no to a holiday. I'll look at it and instantly will be like, that's too big. No, then absolutely not. So we zip across. Bo Shooter says the biggest thing he's looking forward to in Sim Update 15 is the Duke's release. Yeah, I agree. I know somebody mentioned earlier there's a couple of modes about turbulence, wind shear and things like that in Active Sky, but I think the MSFS live weather does a brilliant job of what it's designed to do anyway, what it tries to do. And you look at some of the atmospherics inside the default weather, even here with the haze, the other side of the mountains and things, it looks, I mean, look at that. Why pay for anything else? Quite possibly. That's the third time somebody's used that analogy or kind of way to describe Active Sky, but I'm not sure. It's nice to have the option, ultimately. Is there another flight with me? There's quite a few flights. So we've got Badger. Let's see if we've got any more screenshots from anybody. Osprey 458. Zato Speedbird 55 Golf. In that beautiful Boeing livery. We've got Paul as well, Osprey 27 Alpha. Followed by Gav, Osprey 722. And I think he's back of the pack. Let's see. Yes. Oh, Osprey 32's there. Just left just north of Liberia. Which is actually where you'd fly into if we were flying. So if I flew in, I think on BA, you fly to Liberia Airport instead of San Jose. Did you fly to Liberia? No, you fly to San Jose. Ah, there's Punta Arenas, which I think is some of the resorts. I think what I might do for next year's holiday is get into Microsoft Flight Simulator and actually just fly around the country to see what it looks like from above, like check out the beaches and things. This is the latest version of the Horizon Sim 787-9, so it's got ACARS, Hoppy's integration and all that sort of stuff, Frank B. I'm the same. MPS. When was it Sim Update 5 broke the weather and everything else, or one of the updates broke all of the weather system, I purchased Rex Live Weather as a backup, but I haven't used it since, so yeah, I do wish, as a Bruzy Gaming saying in the chat, that Sabre would open the weather API up, because it will allow people to develop custom weather maps for the aeroplanes and all that kind of thing, custom weather radar. It's nice flying all up the coast. Fergie says, Phuket was very nice, my first time there, but maybe 80-90% of tourists were Russian, and he's not even kidding. Well, then it's an immediate no for me. Completely not going there then, full stop. Full stop. I can't think of anything worse. Julian, welcome. Going to the airport in a short while to catch a 2:40 AM flight to Nairobi. Crikey, from where? Ooh, that's early morning. Crikey. Matthew, welcome. Good morning, mate. Says MSFS live weather still somewhat broken. I haven't seen a true thunderstorm in over a year in the sim. True, yeah. That kind of element of the weather isn't that great. From Mumbai. Crikey, nice. Yeah, we looked at Sri Lanka, G650ER. 2 years ago, actually, looked at Sri Lanka for a holiday, but at the time there was some news about the region becoming a little bit more unstable and a lot of violent crime erupting around the edges of resorts and things in Sri Lanka, and that put me off. You know, I'm not too fussed in that element of risk myself, but if I'm going with the missus, I don't want to expose her to a level of risk that she doesn't otherwise need to be exposed to, or danger, that kind of stuff. So again, like I said earlier, I want to go on holiday to relax. That put me off a little bit going to Sri Lanka, to be fair. That coastline stretching all the way along. But yeah, Sri Lanka definitely is on my list of places to go. I want to go to Goa in India as well, because my grandparents used to go there. When I was growing up, they used to go for 3 weeks all the time. Every single year. Three or 4 weeks to Goa every November. So... I do want to kind of go and explore that as well and immerse myself in that. Kind of see what my grandparents loved so much. Frank, it's in the title. Horizon Simulation Boeing 787-9. There's a lot of the world that I've not gone to kind of explore really. Melbourne, I've noticed you can fly now with Qatar Airways. Popped up on my phone earlier for about 200,000 avios. You can fly them to from London to Melbourne and back, which is pretty cool. Via Doha, of course. Yeah, no VSD. Mach 85. Absolute rocket ship. Nick says, I think you might have asked that earlier on. Sorry mate, if somebody asked that, I just remembered. Similar question about 10 minutes ago. Little topic being discussed at... Is there a decent 747 good enough for VATSIM, or any word of a good third-party one coming soon? So we know PMDG is working on a 747, but I think that's going to be a long-term thing. Maybe 2 years from now, who knows? But the 747-8 in the sim, from what I understand, is pretty good. And certainly usable on VATSIM now because of the working title have done inside the system, so it can do the automated holds and all the rest of it. Yes, the new version, Frank. Those of you with DCS as well, you might have been looking at the Orbex Cola map. Is it Cola? Oh, I'm going to have to find the name of it now, because I think I've just got that totally wrong. Is that the... Ah yes, this is sim. Cola Island is massive, and I've been advised that if I wanted to get that, then I should get a 4 terabyte SSD minimum. Which DCS maps have I currently got? I've got Syria and Caucasus. I definitely can't say that one right. Though they're the ones that I've got anyway. eShop terrains, let's have a look. I've got the Super Carrier bundle. I've pre-ordered the entirety of the Afghanistan map, so all of them, the entire map. What else? Yeah, and I've got the Syria map. I haven't got Persian Gulf, and I haven't got the Nevada test training range. Crikey, the Nevada Test and Training Range map is 36 gigabytes. Persian Gulf, 35 gigabytes. Syria map, which I've got downloaded, is 64 gig. Wow, I didn't realise that. And then Afghanistan's map, it said it doesn't actually tell you how much. Oh my goodness. 3 hard disk space required. 120 gigabytes. Jeez, I didn't realise it was going to be that much. Oh, maybe that's not the exact amount though. But Sinai is 52 gig. Shit. Ooh, that's crazy. How much space have I got left in my hard drive then? This PC. Gee whiz, I've only got 526 gig left on my 2 terabyte hard disk. I think the question is going to be how much I get into DCS. Will depend on then whether I get another SSD or not. That's going to be the kind of thing, really. J Queen in Indy, welcome. Good morning. He's got 2 terabytes for DCS, nowhere near filling it. I think, to be fair, a lot of my files are videos that I've then created, edited, all of that kind of thing, and a lot of screenshots from MSFS. In fact, videos, completed videos. Oh, there we go. I've just freed up 56 gigabytes already. And then I can delete those. Oops, sorry, just hit the mic. There's another 54 gigabytes of videos. Oh my days. Mini FCU, I don't need that folder anymore. How big is that? 11 gigabytes. My god. This is because I'm trying to do 4K videos. I didn't realise how much space they take. I have to go through my files and things. That's spectacular. I'm not sure where I'd fit it though, Callie, in my hardware, in my PC, to be fair. And I'd have to wire it in, and I don't even know where to start with wiring it in either. Maybe it goes in the bottom, at the front. Yes, that must be an SSD area. So yeah, so it might be that I get a third hard drive, remove DCS and install it all onto just one 2 terabyte SSD instead. But only if I get into it a lot. What motherboard do I have? An Asus ROG Strix one. Have I got it in my specs command? I actually can't remember. No, so I've got 2 M2 NVMEs already, Callie. AMD CPU. Is my Streamlabs bot thingy stopped working as well? Looks like it. Cloud bot. Yeah, brilliant. Try now. Bam. There we go. Asus ROG Strix X670EA motherboard. There's the spec. Callie says my motherboard should have 4 M2 slots. Well, the problem is I've got that absolute brick of an RTX 4090, which takes up 2/3 of the space in the thing. So I don't know if there's actually any space. Let's have a little look. I don't think there's any space for another one to go into. Nick says, have PMDG given me a 777 to try out yet? Not yet, mate. I'm holding my breath for the day that that email comes. Is there a way to delete the, you know, the 2 included, like, old school jets that are included in DCS by default for free? Is there a way to kind of uninstall them? Mad Rabbit says I've got 3 M2 slots, 2 PCIe 5s and 1 PCIe 4. Ooh. I mean, that'd be a darn sight easier, wouldn't it? Just finding the other PCIe slot and just mounting that in. But then I might be able to get a bigger SSD just for DCS. Mike says, I'm too nice to VATSIM controllers to be allowed a triple. Well, interestingly, he's taken the video down, by the looks of it, from what you guys are all saying. That the controversy that came out from across the pond, as amazing as that event is, and as amazing as the controllers are, A330 driver decided to go on a torrent of abuse for a couple of minutes, calling some of the controllers idiots and all that kind of stuff, which is the context behind Mike's comment, which I think is frankly disgusting. And yeah, he probably should have been. People have been banned from VATSIM for less, to be quite honest. So I wonder who's told him to take the video down, or if he's done it himself out of embarrassment because he's made himself sound like a fool. I don't know, but yeah, disappointing. I expected better. Well, V1 got banned because he wasn't using his real name, I think, which is against the terms of service, but then abusing the controllers is also against the terms of service. Yeah. It's all a bit weird. Sounds like an angry, bitter man. Albeit, seemingly with a very successful channel. So I don't know what's going on. Apparently, it's a G650ER saying there, apparently a lot of people sent the incident to his employer. Is that really what's happened with what people have done? Surely not. I mean, there's being banned from VATSIM, and then there's people trying to go after his actual job, which I think is a bit too much. Mad Rabbit said, to be fair, a single 2TB PCIe 4 slot just for DCS is going to be more than enough. So you could use that free slot, no need for PCIe 5. I'd probably get a clip-on. I'll just get a normal SSD, I think. I don't think he's getting carried away, Mike. I think he's just obnoxious and rude. It's as Lefty Labs saying there. It's very much of a. It's become a. I'm a real pilot and I know better than all of you kind of thing, kind of attitude. Failing to actually understand that most of us are in this sim community because we can't be real pilots because we can't afford it, or we've got health issues, whatever the reasons might be. And having a superiority complex is not good. But I don't want to talk too much about it. I think the guy's become a bit of a fool, sadly, and he's treating people with contempt and disrespect, and I think it's quite sad. And I'd like for it to stop, but it is what it is. Maybe he thrives off the controversy. I don't know. But yeah, as Jay said there may well be something else going on behind the scenes that's then affecting his other stuff. So you don't know with these things, do you? And if that is the case, hopefully all is well. But yeah, be informative, be friendly, and be part of. We're all part of one community in Flight Sim. As big as that community has now become, normally motherboard has at least 6 slots for SATA, no need. So if I was to get a SATA SSD, can I just like get the wire and plug it in? Is that as? Because remember, I don't have a clue how to do any of this. So can I literally get the lead, plug it into the SSD, the SATA SSD, and then find the bit on the motherboard to plug that into and click it, and then turn the computer on? And would that then work? Or would I have to go into Windows or into the boot settings to mount the thing as a third thing? Because the only thing I'm conscious of with PCIEs is that my RTX 4090 becomes incredibly hot in the summer, immensely hot. So I want less stuff around it, and the slots that are where the SSDs are, the NVMe SSDs, they're right behind the RTX 4090, so I don't want too much getting too hot around the back of it. So I thought maybe the SSDs, because they've got their own little racking bit at the bottom hidden away, they'll be well away from all that heat, and they'll be completely hidden as well by a big blanking plate, so I'll never see it. I also need to get a USB hub, and this is going to sound like a proper noob question, but could I buy one USB hub, connect a load of stuff to it, like all of my hardware, like my WinWing stuff, and then just use that? And will it recognise each device separately on the USB hub, or will it just take one big connection? I need a USB hub then, because as you know, I've got many USBs on this motherboard, but I've now only got one slot left. Badge says I could get an external SSD. I suppose I could for DCS. But then I think I'd just quite like it to be mounted rather than it be USB powered, if that makes sense. So did I not do? I assume you mean cross the pond, CTPJ. No, I didn't. I was working. I tend to avoid the eastbound ones anyway. Sorry, the westbound ones anyway, because of the extra 2 hours it takes. It's quite difficult doing eastbound at the best of times. I think the sheer amount of time it takes. I get quite fidgety and all that kind of stuff. So I can't sit and do cross the pond for 7 hours, 8 hours. I really struggle with it. I don't know why. Just anything long haul, I just kind of put off by anything long haul. Although cross the pond is incredibly fun. Flight Sim, good afternoon. Tempted back into DCS potentially there. Says looking forward to very much to your sorties in DCS. I've got the Hornet and the Warthog, not used them for yonks, but I think my new video from the other day might draw him back. Nice stuff. Hopefully. And feel free on Friday, Flight Tim, if you're free and available to join us. We can all agree on a server, like some sort of training server in DCS. So we could blast around for a couple of hours and knock off the rust and all that sort of stuff potentially. John, welcome. Good to see you. Hope you're well. Enjoying a midweek stream. Simba World, I've seen the pop-up on my phone, but I'll check after the stream. I tend to kind of stay off Discord while I'm streaming. Yeah, so interestingly, MPS, you don't want to download DCS on Steam, for what it's worth. It's free to download off the website, but when you go onto the eShop and you go onto modules, it says on a lot of these, Steam incompatible. This version is not compatible with Steam DCS and cannot be downloaded or activated in Steam. And that's for most of them. I don't know what that means. Maybe you buy them inside Steam? I don't know. I don't know if all of the eShop stuff is in Steam and you buy it through Steam if you've downloaded DCS from Steam. It must do, because people use Steam for DCS. I don't know. That's again something I don't really understand that much of. I just downloaded it off the website and then I bought it directly from the website, all of the add-ons like the FA18C. Street Triple R, nice bike. When you add a new SSD, you will need to create a new partition on it. If you right click on Start, you will see Disk Management, and in it you will see a disconnected drive. Yeah, so Mike, the base SIM of DCS is free. All of the add-ons are then payware, but there are some freeware add-ons that we were chatting about on Discord earlier on before today's live stream. Various add-ons. Let's see. So there's freeware A4. There's a freeware Hercules, T45, IA58, A29B, CH53E, an Alpha Jet, and apparently a freeware Chinook already. Oh, hold on, there's an F-22 in the link here. That's for DCS. That's for old DCS. Oh yeah, so that doesn't work in the new DCS. DCS mod F35 again for the old 2.5 though. To DCS 2.9, free add-ons. There's an A4 Skyhawk, there's an H540 for like virtual air racing. But yeah, there's not much, actually, to be fair. Apparently there's an OV-10A Bronco as well. There's a Black Hawk, which I know somebody mentioned. Centurio said that he spent a lot of time in, so that was quite good. Comtech's just downloaded the freeware A4E. Seems really good, just needs to learn it. Fly team, absolutely. So that's what I mentioned at the start of the stream today. Actually, I've really struggled with getting my head around DCS because I just never had the correct hardware for it. So I've spent about £550 buying specific HOTAS, Wing HOTAS F16 throttle units and the F15EX2 HOTAS stick as well, in order to bring you guys some of this content. And it's having that hardware alone has made it 50% easier to get my head around straight away, which is really nice. So yeah, looking forward to bringing you guys that. And I've obviously invested a lot in it now by buying this hardware, so I want to make it work, and I want to be quite good at it as well. I want to get comfortable as quick as I can with DCS. As Steph is saying, you can download a free trial. I think it's a week, isn't it? So you can download you can click on like the F18, you can download it and try it out for a whole week before you decide whether you want to buy it or not, which again is something quite nice. I don't think any other sim kind of does that. 70 miles to top of descent. Just going to start pulling all the weather in and just double checking the data. There we go. Trials are about 2 weeks long, Lefty Lab says there. Thanks. An Eagle Dominance have about 6 or more sales a year, so very much worth waiting to buy most stuff if you can. And with that, we said at the start, if you've never purchased anything on DCS before, your very first order direct on their website gets you 50% off the total price, which is really cool. Which is what I did when I got the F18, so I got half price. off my first order. So I bought Wisteria, the Super Carrier Pack, the F-18. I kind of wish that I bought a few other bits like the Apache at the time as well, but again I just didn't have the hardware for it, so I didn't. Yeah. Pretty cool though. Actually, I'm just feeling like I'm starting to get my head around the various keybinds on my hardware and all of that kind of stuff. But yeah, I've got center stick Mad Rabbit with the Boeing seat that I've got, the Next Level Racing Boeing seat. I've mounted the HOTAS mount onto it. So when I've finished in this sim, I basically unplug my Boeing Thrustmaster TCA thing, pull that off, pop it on the side, grab my HOTAS stick, slide it in, and then connect it up. Bam, ready. And then I've got the Wing throttle, which goes on my left hand side next to my left leg. Like I said, my redistribution of my kind of my seat has meant that the keyboard is quite far away from me now, and that's the only, it's a bit of a stretch to get to it. 3038 for the pressure now, so is it altimeter 3038? Just make a note of this. Temperature's 18. Hazy, an isolated cumulus. 6 statute miles visibility. Oof. Well, that visibility's dropped a lot. 080 at 5. So a little crosswind for us to contend with. Nothing we can't deal with. Everything else stays the same. We've got minimums set. The only thing we've got to do is set the approach speeds. And we'll go flap 25. Yeah, that's the thing. I've got a specific mount for it in this big Next Level Racing seat. So I've got a dedicated plate for the Turtle Beach Velocity 1 stuff, which obviously I've dismantled now, and I've put the Boeing TCA plate on for a centre yoke. It's got a HOTAS attachment. I've got a load of other things as well in the box, but I don't know what they're for without me looking back at the manual, and I don't think I've got anything anywhere to put them really. Runway 05 right, Joe. ILS Zulu. Via Volan transition. So just to revisit the charts, folks, just to, some of you might have just tuned in. Approaching Lalo, level at 260. From there, continuing the descent down to 17,000 feet. And within this grey arc here, we're in a zone of possible paths towards Ernok. So depending on our altitude and the traffic around us, we can go direct to Ernok in that kind of grey zone, which I've indicated by the red lines that are very poorly drawn. Out of Ernok, 313 degrees to 12.5, down to the initial approach fix at Volan max 190 at 11,000 at or above, and then turning onto final shortly after into Mexico City, the elevation for which is 7,292 feet above mean sea level. So flying high and deep into the mountains. 05 right is that runway there, which means when we vacate left, ooh, gate 68, where is that? Oh, awesome, terminal 2, so vacate right. Probably at Golf, or just here, wherever this one is. Foxtrot, maybe. Or might be Echo, I'm not really sure, it's not labelled anyway. But vacate right, probably at Golf. Unless we come off at Echo 2, depends how quickly we decelerate really. And then pootling all the way down Echo into Terminal 2. Papa Hotel. Navrad's done. Everything's ready. 1091. Altimeter, rad out, and ref speeds. Missed approach for this is climb on track 055 to Mexico 949. Proceed on the missed approach to Volon and continue according to air traffic control instructions, basically for another go. Quick check, no ATC. And I'm going to set 14. For now. Go back to managed mode for the speed. When we hit top descent, the nose will go down. Although I think I might have read that they broke that in the update, so the airplane might not auto descend, so we'll just have to keep an eye and see what it does. We'll decelerate back to our normal VNAV speeds as per the box. Got anything underneath this? No. It's a cracking looking aeroplane, the Dreamliner, isn't it? But it's got nothing on the A350, which just looks spectacular all the time. 10 miles top descent, we're going to go for auto brake 2, and then manual brakes for anything else. And actually, if I go to VNAV, I'm just going to click descend now. So I'm basically telling the aeroplane that I want to begin the descent. Oh, Steph, yeah, I was looking through Chuck's guide for the F-18 the other day. My goodness, the amount of detail. It's like 700 pages long. And that's where I think they risk kind of losing people early on. People are trying to learn these jets. Because instantly it looks far too difficult. Transition altitudes, flight level 195, Joe. Doc says taxi Delta and Alpha 4. To the gate. Radio. Down we go. Mike, just many years of saving the Avios up with my Amex cards and everything else. Also because it's become increasingly difficult to actually use them. So I've ended up banking them more and more and more. Obviously, I'd used 60,000 for for the for FS Expo, which I've now cancelled. Matt, so I pressed descend now in the box in the FMS to trigger an early top of descent, and that triggered a descent itself. So on that, I would assume that at top of descent it would automatically have descended automatically anyway, because I didn't have to click the button to trigger it. But I wanted to descend just before the top of descent to start with a shallower profile before intercepting the VNAV profile properly. That makes sense, because it's quite a steep one, look. Very steep one. 40-80 miles, so Mexico City is right in that haze. Wow. We'll be flying right into that. Look forward to it. Crikey, Mike. Well, the thing is, Virgin's a tiny airline compared. Something like 30 aeroplanes instead of 200 aeroplanes. So the ability to use... I'm quite inflexible with my bookings, which is why I've struggled to use my Avios. I think if I was a lot more flexible with where I went, when I went, I would probably have been able to smash a whole load of really good Avios redemptions, but it just doesn't kind of work out that way. I would assume that because Virgin's such a small airline, it'd probably be quite difficult to do as well. It'd be quite difficult to redeem your points with that, perhaps, as well. I don't know. Wide bodies and usability, Matt, they're both very good, and they're both very good for VATSIM. This, though, has got a really neat ACARS integration built into it now, so... And I prefer the Dreamliner because of it being a bit Boeing. It's a lot more hands-on and thought-provoking with some of the features and the way it behaves. And with that in mind, it's just that's my preference, really. So that's 278. Round we go. That mountain there, we'll be flying around the edge of that. That is a peak of 17,718 feet high. Why are we so... Crikey, that's steep. Seatbelt signs on. So I have to spend all that to get 20,000 points. So to be fair, yeah, you bought a very expensive business class ticket, haven't you? So 17,000 standard pressure. Well, actually, we'll be on local pressure imminently. 17,000 feet. We will have we'll be 10,000 foot above the ground already. So seatbelt signs go on, and the cabin will shortly be secured for landing. This VNAV profile's got a bit neater now.
Su atención, por favor. En preparación para el aterrizaje a partir de este momento, todos los pasajeros deben permanecer sentados con el cinturón de seguridad abrochado, el respaldo de su asiento en posición vertical, la mesa de servicio asegurada y los dispositivos electrónicos en modo vuelo. Si su dispositivo no cuenta con esta función o sus dimensiones son mayores a las de una tableta electrónica, favor de apagarlo y guardarlo. Les informamos que no está permitido el uso de conexiones eléctricas, puertos USB, audífonos en sus dispositivos personales y el acceso a los baños. Muchas gracias.
Your attention, please. In preparation for landing.
No, they've phased out a lot of firsts now, Mike.
Remain seated with a seatbelt fastened.
Business is the most profitable cabin for most airlines. BA as well is the most profitable for them, followed by World Traveller Plus. Then first, then economy, which is crazy, which is why a lot of airlines are phasing it out.
Turn it off and place it in an overhead compartment. Please be advised.
So at 773, from there we begin that little arc where we can go direct to Aeromexico, which we will do. I'll keep this down to 11.
Thank you.
Max speed of 230 knots coming up, which the airplane might struggle to achieve. It's now detected it. Might have to help it out here. Standard pressure, let's click the button. That's the one thing I wish it didn't do. A snappy, violent pitch change. It's actually just come up on my new Sky log, G range detection. So it is monitoring there if we reach the G forces allowed or not. Should level off soon at 17. That will help bleed the speed off. That's all good. Yeah, it's crazy. All that fog over there. That's it. So Mexico City Airport is in that. Should be quite fun. It's going to be quite challenging, I think. So max 230 knots. We're level at 17 and the speed's coming down quite nicely itself. So with that in mind, I think we'll fly the whole procedure anyway, so including this little dog leg, just to allow that to all kind of kick in, unless somebody's right up me chuffsy. No, jolly good. What have we got here? Yeah, the speed's washed off beautifully there, down to 230. To go any lower than that, we need 210 at Aeromexico, so we're going to have to bring out some of our flaps. We're going to go for flap 25 touchdown. I'm tempted to go full flap though. Don't want to land too slow though, I want to naturally roll off at a higher speed exit. Let's get the lights on now. Nice and clear there. Not very clear there. Yeah, we've done RD preset Stuttgart a little while ago. I say a little while ago, quite a while ago. $6,000 meters visibility, don't forget, folks. Just a quick refresh of the METAR in the live chat. Hazy and isolated cumulus, there we go. So now I'm going to go direct Aeromexico. Turning. VNAV paths coming to meet us. Flaps 1. Mexico City traffic, Aeromexico 657 heavies, Boeing 787-9 or altimeter 3038 inbound on the Lalo 3 Alpha, arrival expecting ILS Zulu 05 right approach, heading direct Aeromexico from Mexico 773 waypoint. We'll report Volon and Mexico City traffic. Gosh, that's a mouthful. So the train here is going to be about 1,000 foot below us, this little peak here. I want to see what it does here, whether it'll auto descend, because we've always had lower. 3. 2. There's the guidance. 1. Idle VNAV path. Down we go. Intercepting the descent again. Very nice. So our next waypoint is max speed of 190, so I'm just going to hold flaps 1. Well, to be fair, we can crank that to 200 and command a specific speed. Shouldn't need speed brakes, so let's get her armed. Park brakes off. That's all set. Missed approach is briefed. Cabin secure. Auto brakes set. Navrad page cross-checked. Yeah, it's a bit of a contradictory METAR, isn't it, Doc? Sky clear, but then 6 statute miles visibility. But that is the METAR. No significant change expected in the next 2 hours. So this big old thick layer of haze is here to stay for at least an hour and a half. Pollen, and then 9,700. I'm just going to set that. Cool approach though. VORs are in range, 20 DME. Knock at 14, coming up. Now we're over the city. The edge of the suburbs here. The airport is in there somewhere. In fact, I think it's there. There's a little bit of patchy concrete just visible through the haze. I think it's there. It's going to be interesting. Get this in DCS, do we? This is MSFS weather, Steve. We'll leave the terrain map on for a little while, but as we get lower that's going to get quite distracting, so we'll then turn it off. But I'm just conscious, I want to see how thick some of the haze is. Bring the range ring in again. Blue lines for the missed approach. About 5 minutes to landing now, folks. Just quick refresh light signs. Overhead panel looks good. Bring the speed to 190. Flap 5. Channel, so none of the controllers are up early enough basically, so we're on Unicom the entire duration of today's flight, sadly. But we had a little look at Hoppies, how to set it up, how to kind of use it as a brief talk through. AJ Finale, thanks buddy. Appreciate it, very generous. Thanks for the support, mate. Appreciate the super chat as always.
Last call for gin and teas before we go to tequila.
Yes. Reza, just press TERR, T-E-R-R, for terrain. I'm going to turn it off now though because it's very distracting. Mexico City traffic, Aeromexico 657 heavy is Volon 11,000. Inbound for the ILS Zulu 05 right will report final and established. Mexico City traffic.
Speed traffic Osprey 458 is inbound or NOx and will slowing down to 200 feet, 200 knots.
Flap 10.
Full separation and will report a
Crikey.
05 right Zulu. Benita.
On to go. Eight, 9. Mandatory 9,700 feet at this next waypoint, which is why we can't step any lower. MX900 is only... Oh, crikey, that's only a few miles away. Christ. 160. Flap 15. Turning. Approach mode's armed. Locks captured, glide slopes armed, 160. Gear down. Flaps 18. Mexico City traffic, Aeromexico 657 heavy is established, ILS 05 right. 6 miles to land. Flap 25. On the glide.
The traffic before it is inbound Volon will be following the traffic to establish
shortly. 8-9. Glide slope's going to capture imminently. Holding 160. Tell you what. Look at the view. If the weather was nice, this would be spectacular. 144. $12 for the mists. Here we go. This is a test. Look at that. There's the ACARS integration. I wonder if they've just seen that. Seen the stream and pinged like a system test. So that's where the messages will ping up, folks. Right there. Christ, we seem like we this seems really fast. So we can cancel it just by pressing the cancel button there. We can accept the instructions if it's an instruction as well, perhaps. There's the runway, my throttles, my controls. I feel like they've changed the view and I'm pointing down more than I usually like to. Here we go.
50,
Looking ahead.
40, 30, 20, 10.
A little bit off centre. Little crosswind, a couple of knots, which was affecting me more than I would have liked. First green. 238 foot per minute. My brakes. Vacating a Golf. Gently on the brakes. Flaps up. Keep turning. Taxi lights already on.
Sean bienvenidos.
238 foot per minute. I'll have that. Very badly off centre line though.
Por su seguridad, permanezcan sentados hasta que el avión se detenga por completo y la señal de abrocharse cinturón sea apagada. A partir de este momento pueden hacer uso de su teléfono.
Must be Toby eye tracker seeming like sideways all of a sudden.
Háganlo con cuidado.
That's very weird.
Les recordamos
I'm facing
que
the screen, but my Toby eye tracker's now gone. Mexico City traffic. Aeromexico 657's vacated at Golf, taxiing to gate 68 via Delta and Alpha 4.
Please remain seated until the aircraft has come to a complete
Just
stop.
haze, early morning haze.
At this moment you may use
Captain cross country.
Please
Welcome.
be careful if you open the rear compartments when there are your belongings.
Yeah, visibility's Arto, just a couple of hundred feet really from the ground. I'll do this little kink out to the right. Oh, beautiful touchdown in the Osprey 787 there. That looked very good compared to my attempt just then. Very nice.
Traffic Costa Rica, it is located runway 05 right on Golf.
Was there literally a house that we've... Is that actually a house in real life? And the owner was just like, no, I'm not moving. Terminal 2, custom GSX profile for this, gate 60.
Mexico City traffic, Steamboat 55 Golf.
8.
Short, 5 miles to the distance of ILS 05, little call established.
Camera crossing says, according to IQ Air, Mexico City is the 14th most polluted air in the world. Makes sense after seeing that approach. Crikey. Yeah, San Diego was a tough one. There was one stream, wasn't there, when we last flew into San Diego, albeit a long time ago now, actually, wasn't it, to be fair? My goodness, I think everyone went around, didn't they? I think, was that the one where I went around as well? Right old long taxi this as well. I reckon I've only got about a score of 9 for that touchdown. 9 out of 10.
Seabird 55 Golf, full note 180 knots.
Just gonna do that. Slow right down a second. We go. Jolly good. Leave the drone camera there. So routinely this is a real flight that Aeromexico operate, but it's not done on a 787, it's done on like their 737s instead. LATAM flight on the A320s, Avianca, Volaris as well operate this route in real life too, which is quite cool. We've got to do a bit of echo here. Max 8 or Max 9, there we go.
Traffic, Seabird 55 Golf, fully established on the ILS, 05 right, 5 off final.
It's a really tight ILS as well, isn't it? So we're turning in on final to establish, we're turning in on final at 8 miles, we're establishing at 6 miles. So that's really compressed, but quite cool. There's Alpha 4. Makes sense, AJ Finale. Make a good point there actually. Limited air movement because the mountains all around Mexico City kind of box in the pollution. And things like carbon dioxide and all that are heavier than oxygen, so I suppose thinking about the science of it, yeah, that makes sense. It would kind of hold it in the valley.
Mexico City traffic, Seabird 55 Golf, no field inside, we'll call short final with the field inside. Mexico City traffic.
'68's right here. Still going. This is the Flymex scenery, Mexico City. Still looking. It's got a bit real LOD issue where it's like loading everything in, then unloading it again. And look how jagged the lines are now. Charging in at this guy. You'd be sweating, Neil, wouldn't you, if that was you marshalling in real life at Heathrow and I came blasting in that fast.
55 Golf, short final 05 right, runway inside.
Brakes. Bam. Here comes the Queen of the Skies. Payware Airport MPS. I wish we had a 747-400 in the sim. Looks like this is a 748, bizarrely. Oh, Neil, tip of the trade. So marshals in real life, when pilots are flying in too fast, the marshals will walk towards them to make the pilots hit the brakes. That's insane. I love it. Oh, beautiful touchdown. Oops, wrong button. Beacon. Reset. New sky. See how we did. That was a very off-center touchdown. So probably a 9 out of 10. Oh, look at that. I was close to the score. 904. Unstable approach below 400 feet.
Via Delta, runway 205 right is clear.
When did that happen? Oh well, I don't know. It worked. Nice touchdown in the end though. Off-scent line landing. Yeah, I knew the landing was a little bit crappy in comparison. But there's our lovely little route for today, all the way up the coastline, Central America, into the basin of Mexico City in the mountains. And there's that approach. Very compressed. Let's have a quick check of... Everyone's coming in now. John Finneck. We got Tab, GSX, deboarding. There she is. I do miss the BA 747s. Just something so spectacularly unique about them. Shame they're only in the flight sim skies now. Oh, look at that. Majestic bird. Rightio. A few more on final. Bloody ripper. Who we got? Paul. Osprey 27 Hotels inbound next. Followed hot on the heels by Gav. Both within 5 minutes. What I'm going to do is just going to change to this side. And if I just pop up. So this is where now we're starting to get into the haze. But if I zoom out enough, you can kind of see it sitting. Look at that for atmospherics, folks. You can kind of see it sitting. In fact, I can see Paul, his lights, just there on top of the haze.
Mexico City traffic Osprey 2 Alpha.
There we are.
On final 8 miles ILS.
But under the haze, we couldn't see him. Okay, now we've got his lights. Bingo. So, 2 more arrivals in close succession. Don't forget tomorrow, Tampa to the new LaGuardia from MK Studios in the sim. With the PMDG 737-900ER, we'll be flying Delta for the first time. I think potentially ever, but I might have to look back on all my old live streams. I don't think I've flown Delta before, and if I have, I might have only done it once or twice. So we'll start zipping around, trying to work all of that out. And it should be quite a good little route into LaGuardia. Checking out all the New York as we fly in as well, which would be quite sweet. Zato. Not the circling approach, probably a bit too tight, like the you know, the Parkway visual, but the ILS certainly on, I think, is it 2.2? I'm sure it'll be fine. But that'll be tomorrow, same time as always, 1200 UTC, 1300 British summertime, and then Friday it's going to be Fighter Friday on DCS for the first ever time. So you're going to watch me learn the FA-18C, putting my skills to the test, or lack thereof, giving everything a real good bash to try and hone my inner maverick. That'd be quite fun. What we got? So final, probably about 6 miles now on the glide. And for that stream, for Fighter Friday, I downloaded an add-on called The Way for DCS, which will work with, it's basically their version of SimBrief integration, so I can select waypoints on the map, click send to DCS, and it will basically input all of my waypoints for a mission, targets, ingress, egress, all that sort of stuff into my FA-18, and then I can just activate the sequence quite simply, rather than having to input all of the individual coordinates and all that kind of stuff.
05 right, 8 miles.
So we'll try that out, and then I've got to try and get my head around firing various ordnance and missiles and things. Yeah, the weather's pretty naff, isn't it, Dwal, at the moment? I'd like to see some slightly sunnier temperatures. Although yesterday was quite nice. Bam. Oh, that's a beautiful touchdown. That was fantastically done. Lanzanaria, long old flight for you, mate. Heathrow to Cape Town, Virgin A330-900. Oof. Look at that haze at the bottom of the airfield there. Closing in, isn't it? Aviators are optional, Flight Sim. You can bring them if you wish. You might want to bring some just so when I look super cool you can wear them for when you're hanging out around me in the stream.
Mexico City traffic cross spaces up and vacated 058.
And I'm hoping we can get a few of you guys together in a server. Just do like a little mission together or something, and maybe one or two of you can jump in on Discord into like a voice chat, so we can talk through various modes and all that kind of stuff. I might have to tighten the bolt on my kneeboard thing here, my next level racing seat. Doc, no I didn't. 747 did a touch and go yesterday in LAX. Snazzy. I bet that was great to watch. Part of me is tempted to do Friday's stream instead of a live stream, just video, record the whole thing. Part of me is tempted to do it that way because I don't really know how it's going to turn out, to be honest, or what to expect, or what to do. But it'll be an interesting kind of way for you to see what DCS might be like to a brand new person trying to get their head around a very complicated military simulator. Oh, good old VPilot, trying to work out where he is. That's a bit better, look at that. Oh! Again, absolute 10. Nice work. 2 fantastic landings. What have we got? There's Paul heading on in. And there we have it. Good old VPilot Scenery Designs, only available in the marketplace. All of their sceneries. But departed San Jose in beautiful Costa Rica for this flight to Mexico City. And join us tomorrow, heading into LaGuardia for the first time from Tampa in that 739 that we mentioned earlier, and Friday, Fighter Friday, which we're trying to organise, get my head around. But yeah, an exciting couple of days left for this week's streams before I head back to work. We're here for the night in Mexico City. I hope you've enjoyed the flight today. Hit like, hit subscribe if you haven't done so already before you head off, and a massive thank you to everyone who flew along throughout today's journey. But in the meantime, as always, I'm going to hit the freeway, get to the hotel, have a gin, and I'll see you very soon. Thanks for watching. Take care.
5,
pilot